All right, welcome back to WMMA Now with your host Chuck Stevenson, coming at you today with a huge announcement out of One Championship. So the Singapore-based promotion One Championship has finally announced the participants for its scheduled upcoming Women's Atomweight Grand Prix. Now, the One Championship CEO Chatri Sityoton made the announcement today via his official social media. You know, he likes to usually announce via his Facebook and then also Twitter, and then One Championship as the company then announced it on their social media platforms as well. Now, the first quarterfinals bouts are scheduled to kick off on May 28th. The matchups have not been decided. The tournament is going to feature 8 fighters who will make their way, and the winner will eventually get to fight Angela Lee for her One Championship Atomweight title. So now that I've got, the initial details out of the way, let's go ahead and talk about each individual fighter. First up, we're going to China's Mingbo. Mingbo comes in at 17-5. She is 24 years old. She stands 5 feet 4 inches, 162 centimeters tall, and brings in a reach of 64.6 inches, 164 centimeters. Now, her last fight was a unanimous decision win over Samara Santos on January 22nd. Now, Mingbo, no surprise that she is in this tournament at all. Ever since they signed her, One Championship has really been, giving her big ups. She's well known as having defeated Weili Zhang in the first fight for both of them back in November of 2013. She's, very heavy-handed. Ground game needs some work. We saw that in her last fight, and she even admitted it herself. But she is very heavy-handed. Won her first 2 bouts in One Championship via, knockout or technical knockout. So no surprise that she's in there. She's also, I believe, ranked number 2 in One Championship's atomweight rankings. Next comes the fighter that, everyone was waiting for her to get announced. South Korea's Ham Sahi, or Sahi Ham if you're from the West. Ham brings in a record of 23-8. She is 33 years old, so she is both the most experienced and the oldest fighter in the tournament. She stands 5 feet 2 inches, 158 centimeters tall, brings in a reach of 62 inches, 157 centimeters. Now, her last fight was a split decision win over Ayaka Hamasaki on December 31st of 2019 at Ryzen 20. What can you say about Sahi Ham that hasn't already been said? I mean, she's fought everywhere. She's fought in Japan, she's fought in Korea, she's been fought in the U.S. She's fought for, Road FC, Jules, Deep Jules, Smack Girl, Deep, Ryzen, just about everybody. And she's held gold almost everywhere she's gone. I mean, she held Jules gold. She held gold in Road FC. Didn't get to gold in UFC, but she's held gold in Ryzen as well. I mean, she's the number 1 atomweight in the world right now. And you won't hear One Championship say that, probably ever. But right now, she is the number 1 atomweight in the world. And, she brings the biggest credibility to this Grand Prix. And right now, she is already a big favorite to win it all. Next, we move along to Stamp Fairtex. Stamp brings a record of 5-1. She is 23 years old. She stands 5 feet 2 inches, 157 meters tall. No reach available. Her last fight was a submission loss to Alyona Rassohyna at One Championship via guillotine in the 3rd round on February 5th. Not surprised Stamps here, even though she just took a loss, One Championship has been building her up for several years now. And even though she just took that loss, I'm not surprised they put her in there because the person that she lost to is also in the tournament. And while they haven't announced the matchups yet, I would not be surprised if that rematch is in the quarterfinals. I'd like to see her face someone else, but I wouldn't be surprised by that Stamp has been fighting since she was a child. Now, she was mostly Muay Thai, and then last couple years she moved into kickboxing and then MMA as well. Brings in a lifetime of stand-up fight experience. And she would make for exciting fights against a number of opponents here, including Ham, Mingbo, and some of the others. So, no surprise here, and I'm not disappointed by her inclusion either, even though she is coming off a loss. She's the only fighter in the tournament coming off a loss. Then we move on to Ukraine's Alyona Rassohyna. Rassohyna comes in with a record of 13-4. She is 30 years old. She stands 5 feet 2 inches, 157 centimeters tall. Do not have a reach available for her. Her last fight, she defeated Stamp Fairtex via guillotine choke submission in the 3rd round back on February 5th. Obviously, if they're going to include Stamp Fairtex in this tournament, they have to include Rassohyna. And Rassohyna is a fun, exciting fighter and very skilled as well. Brings in a wealth of submission wins into this tournament. She is known as an armbar queen in the women's divisions. Much like Ronda Rousey once was. Has very nice takedowns, very solid groundwork, very skilled off of her back. And she has that win over Stamp, first MMA fighter to beat her. So no surprise they picked her for this Grand Prix either. Now, Rassohyna is the only fighter that has fought not one, but 2 other fighters in this tournament. She has fought both Stamp and Sahi Ham. Now, she lost to Ham back in 2014, of August of 2014 via unanimous decision. Now, it'll be interesting if they match these 2 up again to see how she has learned to deal with a southpaw style since then, because she had no answer whatsoever for southpaw stance. So, don't know who she'll be matched up with, but I think she matches up very well against just about everybody in this tournament. Then we have the Philippines representative, Denise the Menace Zamboanga. The Menace comes in with an undefeated record of 8-0. She is 24 years old. She stands 5 feet 2 inches, 158 centimeters tall. Again, no reach available for her. Now, her last fight was a submission win in the 1st round over Watsapinya Kaukong in one championship back on August 28th. Again, no surprise by Zamboanga's inclusion in this. She is ranked number 1 in one championship's official rankings for her division. She jumped to the top after defeating Mei Yamaguchi in, just shy of a year ago, February 28th of last year, via unanimous decision. And, she beat Mei more solidly. There is less question behind her win over Yamaguchi than there was in either of Angela Lee's wins. So ever since then, she has been right at the top of this division. So no surprise that she's included. And also, there has been a war of words between her and fellow tournament participant Mingbo. So if these 2 get matched up in the 1st round, that would be awesome. I don't think they will. I think they'll match them up on different sides of the brackets. But if they match those 2 up in the 1st round, it would be absolute fireworks and guarantee a good fight between these 2. So she's another one. If they didn't include her, you'd have to wonder why. Then we move to Japan for Itsuki Hirata. Strong heart fighter, comes in with an undefeated record of 4-0. She is 21 years old. She stands 5 feet 2 inches, 150 centimeters tall, and brings a reach of 62.6 inches, 159 centimeters. Her last fight was a TKO win over Miku Nakamura just this past Monday, February 22nd at Road to 1. I was wondering if they were going to include Hirata in this tournament at all. I mean, she's one of the less experienced fighters on this one. However, she is very exciting. She is a finisher. She's won all of her professional bouts by finish, either TKO or submission. She is a judo specialist, loves to get to the clinch. take her opponents down, get into the scarf hold position, and then get submissions from there. And she is very, very charismatic. You know, her last fight in one championship, she beat Irene Crowley. She was dancing between rounds, showing off. Just brings a load of charisma. Very, you know, easily a fast rising star within one championship. So I was very curious to see if they would include her. And I'm very happy that they did. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing who they match her up against in the quarterfinals, because as one of the, you know, lesser experienced fighters in the tournament, she admittedly has a hard climb up. Which brings us to another young gun in this tournament, Ritu, the Indian print tigress Phogat. Ritu comes in with a record of 4-0. She's undefeated as well. She is 26 years old. She stands 5 feet 1 inches tall, 156 centimeters. No reach available for her. Now, her last fight, she won via TKO over Jo Marie Torres on December 4th of last year. Honestly, I'm less surprised by Phogat's inclusion over this than I am over Hirata, even though Ritu Phogat has, you know, the same number of fights, 4-0, but one championship really wants to push her as like their lead into the Indian market. She has been wrestling her entire life. I believe she's a gold medalist in the Commonwealth Games, which is, you know, the UK and all of their, you know, most of their former colonies, the Commonwealth of Nations. Not really sure how to describe it best, but it's almost like the Olympics. It's like a miniature Olympics between, you know, all the Commonwealth nations, and she is a gold medalist there. You know, there have been movies made about her family. Now, she wasn't in the movie as a character, but her, you know, it was based on her dad and her sisters and cousins, and she comes from a famous family, so no surprise there. She also, like I said, she brings in a wealth of wrestling experience, and she has been working on her stand-up as well. I saw some improvement in it in her last fight. What she really needs to work on, though, is the transition phase. But like I said, not really that surprised by Phogat's inclusion. Then we move on to the one that really came out of left field, representing the United States, Elise Little Savage Anderson. Elise brings a record of 5-1. She is 26 years old. She is actually the tallest fighter in the Grand Prix at 5 feet 5 inches, 165 centimeters. And while I don't have a reach available for everyone, she likely has the longest reach as well, 66 inches, 168 centimeters. Now, she has not fought since a split decision win over Katie Saul in Invicta FC on August 9th of 2019. Like I said, this one came out of left field. Very surprised by this. Did not know she was included at all. I think I remember her saying something about a fight announcement coming soon on her social media, but did not see this one coming. But it is a very pleasant surprise. I like Elise Anderson. I've talked about her. I've reviewed at least 2 or 3 of her fights before. You know, she has an exciting style. She got that flying triangle submission over Stephanie Alba at Invicta FC 30 back in 2018. She's very tall, lanky, brings a long reach in, nice submissions. She's a finisher too. All of her wins, 3 out of her 5 wins are by finish. She likes submissions and striking equally. So, and you know what? It's nice to see that one championship brought over someone from Invicta FC into this tournament. You know, Invicta, they're like the premier women's mixed martial arts promotion, and they're one of the biggest, deepest atomweight divisions. So it's nice to see them bring in, you know, someone who can represent them well. And I think Elise Anderson will do it too. So not disappointed at all by this inclusion. Very much surprised, but not in the least bit disappointed by it. Okay, so what are my thoughts on this initial lineup for the tournament? Well, I'll be honest, I like it. I like it. To me, this reminds me very much of like a throwback style Grand Prix tournament. I mean, every fighter comes from a different nationality, which you would see a lot in, you know, the 90s to the early 2000s. Also, a good mix of style here. You have a wrestler, you have a judoka, you have BJJ whizzes, you have kickboxers, Muay Thai. Good mix of styles and nationalities. Like I said, this is a throwback, but in like a really good way. So really exciting lineup here. You know, I mentioned earlier, Sahi Ham right now, she's the early favorite, according to just about everywhere I've seen on social media. But I think there's some unique challenges for her. You know, Mingbo, probably not as skilled striker as her, but brings in heavy hands. Stamp Fairtex is also strong on the feet with that wealth of Muay Thai experience. She's in there against a strong wrestler and Ritu Phogat. Got some submission aces as well. So, I mean, Ha might be the favorite, but she is by no means a clear-cut winner. Now, obviously, I'll be cheering for her the whole time. She's my all-time favorite women's fighter. But I don't think, I mean, yeah, she's a favorite, but by no means is she a clear-cut, you know, favorite. So, I mean, if you want to put money on her, go ahead, but just be forewarned that, again, this is MMA. Anything can happen. Now, the tournament participants will have to win, you know, 3 total matches to get that chance to fight Angela Lee, and they got to fight 3 times before November. So even though Lee's coming off of a long layoff and pregnancy, the winner of this tournament, they're coming in off of 3 fights already in 1 year before fighting a 4th. That's going to be tough because, you know, injuries could start accruing even for the tournament winners. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens as this tournament goes on. Like I said, the first quarterfinal matches are going to happen on May 28th. Now, they haven't announced the brackets yet, so it'll be very interesting to see how they're decided. You know, if it's random draw, are they going to seed them? It'll be very interesting to see. I hope One Championship, you know, makes the matchmaking for these transparent, so we know exactly what's going on, because that makes, for me, that's part of the excitement. When you can see them, you know, do the random drawing or explaining the seeding behind it, I think that makes the tournament that much more fun and really helps to build the storylines. So those are my initial thoughts on this tournament. Let me know yours in the comments down below. Like I said, it's finally happening. If you like the video, please like it, share it as well. And while you're at it, go ahead and subscribe to WMMA Now, the most complete women's mixed martial arts dedicated platform on YouTube. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.